Coming up in this FinCast, we'll take a look at Scolemia, the holy grail of coral.
When I put ChemPure in the tank, my water clarity is really nice. My fish and my coral seem to respond to it really well.
Hi everybody, John here with another FinCast, and today I want to talk about Scolemia, or what people typically call scolies. And here you see a huge variety of these, and I had a chance to visit Carolina Aquatics. They sell a lot of scolies wholesale to the hobbyists, to stores all over the country. And I've never seen such a variety before. And Chris Klein is the owner of Carolina Aquatics, and he's been keeping these for a long time. And obviously, if he's going to keep an inventory that looks like this, he's got to know what he's doing, because that's a lot of money right there on the screen. So I had the opportunity to talk to Chris about some of the best practices for keeping scolies in your home aquarium, where they come from, and that sort of thing. So here's a little bit more. First of all, we'll talk about some of the different names for scolies.
They're going to be like bleeding apple, which is your green with a little bit of red. You've got war paints, you've got reverse bleeding apples, you have UFO scolies, master scolies. Probably a few other names. Not really sure what they all are, but everyone's probably got their own names for them.
When you first get a scolia, you probably want to keep it near the bottom of your tank and let it get used to your lighting.
Typically, we would start the scolies off at the bottom, or recommend to start them at the bottom of the tank. It's lower light. It gives them a chance to adjust to any different conditions that they're not used to. We don't really know exactly what depth these are all collected at. It probably varies depending on what areas in Australia they're being collected from. So start them off at the bottom, slowly move them up over the period of a few weeks. As long as they're looking good, they should expand pretty well.
A lot of people want to keep scolies on the sand, but Chris says that's perhaps not the best idea.
I like keeping these on the rock. I don't really like putting them in the sand because it's such an expensive coral. I mean, they're used to it, but if you get a little bit of sand on them, it can cause some issues. But I wouldn't put them at the top of the tank. I'd say mid-level to lower is probably ideal. Flow, I've seen it in a variety of conditions as far as flow. I would probably say medium on average to maybe low. They do like to eat, so if it's in really high flow, it's a lot less likely some food can stick down in the scolia and give it time to actually swallow the food. So medium to low would be my recommendation.
I have one in my fish tank, and I've noticed that it likes to eat, and Chris agrees and says that feeding scolies is one of the best parts of keeping them.
We don't feed them here because we don't know when we're going to be shipping them out, and if you're going to have to ship them overnight or something, it's not good to have them where they could regurgitate that food and foul the water in the bag. So we do recommend to feed them. We like feeding them Coral Frenzy's one of my go-to. It's a sinking pellet for the scolies. They have a couple different millimeters, 1 millimeter pellet and a half millimeter pellet, but you can sprinkle some of that right down into the mouth of the scolia, and they'll definitely, it's pretty amazing the feeding response you get from them. Absolutely, any kind of frozen food. I've even seen situations where maybe a fish has passed away and it happens to land in a scolia, and the scolia will eat that as well. The biggest thing I guess you got to be careful of in a situation like that, if you got a lot of hermit crabs or emerald crabs or algae cleanup crew, sometime if a scolia eats a big meal, a meaty frozen food meal or whatever, those crabs will try to get to it, and they can potentially damage the corals when that happens. So I prefer to feed them pellets for that reason. It seems to be a little less likely that happens, but
for the most part, according to Chris, scolies come from Australia.
These are from Australia. It's on the east coast of Australia, the Mackay area. There's Mackay. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but a lot of different areas up there. It's warmer waters. They're not super tropical waters, but they're not cold water either. So that's where the vast majority of those come from. I've seen some people cut similar scolies in half and put them together and call them, I don't know, Frankenstein scolies or something like that. And I haven't seen the research over the years. It doesn't kill them right away as long as you leave part of the mouth on them. And, I'm sure there's people that are experimenting with that. I personally, we don't do any of that here. I can't bring myself to do that personally. Not my preference.
Someone shopping for a stroller, when do you know maybe to leave that one in the store?
Well, Scullies they're very resilient if they're kept in the proper conditions. Sometimes you'll have a Scully that has some recession around the edge where the skeleton is poking through, and that can definitely lead to the eventual death of the Scully. Typically, if that happens, it does it in shipping. Like something happens, it gets pinched in a bag, or it's something is really not happy, or it gets stung by another coral. That sometimes can cause it, and a lot of times it's not fatal to the Scully. If that recession works its way into the center of the Scully where the mouth is, it's a lot more likely that it's not going to do well. But we have seen full recovery from Scullies that it happens over several years, but we've seen new growth grow out of the middle of a Scully, and you see old skeleton down below it. So there's definitely resilient corals and can come back from slight damage like that. But once it gets into the mouth, your chances are a lot higher of losing the Scully. So typically we would say, stay away from ones with damage where the skeleton is poking through. Compared to other corals, I would say they're on the lower end. If anything, they tend to get stung by other corals, but I have seen it both ways, and I think it probably depends on the species of the coral and how healthy the coral that's touching it is. If it's super happy and healthy, it's going to be a lot more likely to win in a battle with another coral like that. So typically, they can touch each other. There's really no problems there. But if you have a Lobo or an Elegance or something like that is considered, pretty aggressive, they probably will win against the Scully. This is one of the most popular corals out of Australia. It is considered to be the I guess, I don't know, the crown jewel is the right word to use, but they're one of the most beautiful corals that we see out of there. It's one of our favorites, and there's no two that are exactly alike. So, you can go and see 1,000 Scullies, and there's always something new and something neat and a different design, different color combination coming in. So it's definitely one of our favorites.
So there's a look at Sculimia, or Scolimaya, some people want to say, but the short term is Scullies, and that's what folks call them. They're absolutely beautiful, and they come in so many different colors. Yeah, they can be a little pricey. Search around on the internet and you can find some very expensive Scullies, but I got to tell you that they are worth it. Thanks again to Chris and to Caroline Aquatics, again, a wholesaler, and I'll put some information down below with the description if you want to click on a link, and there is a what you see is what you get option there. Please don't forget that Fincasters is also on Facebook, so just search for Fincasters, and please give me a thumbs up and give me a like. Also on Instagram, I post lots of pictures. I travel quite a lot and get some interesting pictures, as well as my own aquariums. I keep planted tanks as well as reef tanks, and I've got a tannin aquarium as well. So you might want to check out my Instagram account and follow along. I do appreciate that. And if you want to share this video, that always makes me happy, and I like it when people watch these videos and enjoy them, and we do gather a lot of information, so the more people who see it, the more people who are informed, and of course then we all keep better aquariums, and we know just a little bit more about the hobby, the corals we keep, the plants we raise, the fish, whatever it is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Fincast.